My name is Simbarashi Sigauke. That name Simbarashi is actually the word power, and Simba is power, Rashi of God. So when my parents gave me my name Simbarashi, they were actually thanking God for the power of God by blessing them with a son, and that's what Simbarashi Sigauke means. I'm married to my wife, Miranda Carolina Sibongile Viana Rodriguez Sigauke. Um, we are blessed with three children. The firstborn is Anika. She was born in Zimbabwe. She's 8 years old. My second born is Joshua. He was born in Minneapolis. He's 5 years old. And then my last born is Michaela. She was born here in Dallas, Texas. Actually, she was born in Fort Worth. And I was born in Harare, Zimbabwe. Harare is the capital city of Zimbabwe. And that word Zimbabwe is a name that was changed from Rhodesia, which was the colonial name that colonial masters, I don't like to call them colonial masters, but for the sake of this video, I'll call them colonial masters. The British, when they came and colonized Zimbabwe, they gave it the name Rhodesia. So when we gained our independence in 1980, we changed that name from Rhodesia to Zimbabwe, which is a house of stones. Zimbabwe is blessed with minerals, diamonds, gold, precious stones and precious metals, and beautiful resources. It's a blessed nation. Currently, I'm residing here in Fort Worth, Texas. It's quite a, I believe I prefer Fort Worth to Dallas because it's much more quiet, less traffic, less busy, but with everything that I need to function. Currently, I'm working as a chaplain at Methodist Charlton Medical Center. I serve as a chaplain resident. I've been here for almost a year now. I'm doing my clinical pastoral education, which is CPE, on track to be an educator or an advisor. That's the plan. I've just finished my level 1 outcomes. I'm now working on my level 2 outcomes. My desire is to continue to grow and perfect my skills. There have been a change because I was hoping to get a place at Methodist Charlton Medical Center to do my second year residence, but they did not offer me a place for second year. So I'm currently going for an interview for my second year residency. I'm going to be interviewed by Texas Health Resources. So I hope that they accept me. Currently, my current boss has offered me a night shift job at Methodist Charlton Medical Center, but it won't be CPE. So it means that I have to enroll for a CPE unit somewhere else and use my clinical hours at Methodist Charlton. But what we do at Methodist Charlton is that we take care of patients, families, and staff. The main thing is to care for them in the moments of distress, in the moment of loss, in the moment of rejoicing. And chaplains, we're more like first responders. Whenever there's a code, which is a code blue, rapid response, we are right there on the floor with the patient and the team, taking care of the patient and calling family members. If there's a death that has occurred, we process the paperwork as far as death is concerned, connect with families, find out the funeral homes that they would want to have, and we're also involved in taking care of staff, as in being their pastor. So I'm more of a pastor on my floor. I'm currently involved, responsible for the medical surgical unit, as well as the oncology and orthopedics floor. So my role is to come and pray for them before surgery, after surgery, to pray for them when they're going through emotional distress, deal with staff when they're going through anxiety attacks, especially when dealing with COVID. Many staff members are suffering from anxiety attacks, and we come as chaplains. I go there to offer comfort, peace, and spiritual support. We believe in holistic care, spirit, soul, and body, and that's my role in that community. We take care of we're on the southeast side of Dallas, which is the poor neighborhood. So we take care of those who are marginalized, the African American community, the Hispanic community, and poor white community. Which movie or book am I interested in? I love. I'm actually reading the book of Renee Brown called "The Gift of Imperfection," and it's almost similar to what she's doing in the book Dare to Lead, but she's primarily dealing with the gift of vulnerability and how we can move away from the idea of perfection and find something more realistic like excellence or a quest for excellence rather than the quest for perfection, because it's a myth. We can never be perfect. My dissertation topic, let me just read it to you. My thesis project seeks to explore how an Ubuntu synergistic and relational model of pastoral care grounded in cosmopolitan theology is a way for chaplains in our contemporary healthcare system to be more welcoming, hospitable, and just. My thesis project seeks to explore how an Ubuntu synergistic and relational model of pastoral care grounded in cosmopolitan theology is a way for chaplains in our contemporary healthcare system to be more welcoming, hospitable, and just. The main issue is that I've discovered that our contemporary pastoral care model is primarily based on individualism. And I'm not trying, in this paper, I'm not trying to pit individualism vis-a-vis communalism, but I'm trying to find a way in which these two ideas and ideologies can mutually inform each other and find a way to be more just. And I'm not trying to alienate those who are in the individualistic bloc, but I want to woo them in and see the value of community synergism, using the model of using cosmopolitan theology as my basis. And cosmopolitan theology is primarily about welcoming, about hospitality, and about deconstruction, for example, influenced primarily by Jacques Derrida. And I'm drawing primarily from Newsom Kang, who wrote a book on cosmopolitan theology. And I'm dealing with many other theologians, like I'm dealing with Immanuel Kant, Emmanuel Levinas. I'm dealing with other philosophers, even as they try to expound on the issues of justice, hospitality, and welcoming in a cosmopolitan place, and how we can welcome the other, even in the healthcare system, knowing that the other is made in the image of God. Currently, I received news that the current administration wants to deport international students if their institution resorts on doing online classes only in the advent of COVID. So currently, I'm trying to figure out how I'll stay instead. I suppose ICE is going to be hunting international students, especially if their college is not doing face-to-face classes with the aim to protect their students from spreading the virus. I hope that this will be challenged in the courts of law, because it's unjust, and that I can continue doing my studies. I believe I will be safe because I'm now doing my research, so I don't necessarily need to be in class, but I'm thinking of other international students who might get into a snag, in the sense that they're in between a fix with the law, and you don't want them to be in a place of flux in dealing with the law. One question for the group that I would want them to answer. My question for you is, how do you feel peace in the midst of instability and chaos? What is your anchor, especially in these times? Because there's so much crisis, there's so much consternation, there's so much struggle, there's so much pain. What is your anchor? How do you find peace? How do you remain sane in the midst of all this chaos and, the COVID pandemic, the justice issues that we're dealing with in this nation, in the death of George Floyd when he was lynched in the public, and the marching and all this chaos, and the current administration and their ideals? I'm wondering, with all these things that are happening in the country, how are you anchoring yourself? How are you remaining sane? What's your anchor? How do you find meaning in the midst of meaninglessness? My act of hospitality. Actually, this question made me think about hospitality. And my thesis project is primarily on hospitality. So I was thinking about hospitality from a philosophical point of view, and I was thinking about hospitality from a theological point of view. Let me start from a philosophical point of view. I was thinking of the issue of conditional hospitality and unconditional hospitality. So conditional hospitality has to do with hospitality that has conditions. And then unconditional hospitality has to do with hospitality that is welcoming with no conditions. And I have just something that I need to read from you from a paper called Jacques Derrida on the ethics of hospitality. In the context of unconditional hospitality, Derrida makes special reference to Immanuel Kant, who in the third article entitled "The Law of World Citizenship shall be limited to conditions of universal hospitality," of his essay Towards Perpetual Peace, defines universal hospitality as the right of a stranger not to be treated as an enemy when he arrives in the land of another. One may refuse to receive him when this can be done without causing his destruction. But so long as he peacefully occupies his place, one may not treat him with hostility. In addition, Kant limits the right of hospitality to a right of visit, in virtue of an initial common possession of the surface of earth, and not to a right of residence. A right of residence would presuppose a special convention between nation states demanding that if the foreigner is a citizen of another nation state. To Kant's conditional hospitality, Derrida will oppose unconditional or pure hospitality, which is without conditions, which does not seek to identify the newcomer even if he is not a citizen. For Derrida, absolute or unconditional hospitality presupposes a rupture with hospitality under the current sense with conditional hospitality, with the right to or pact of hospitality. He explains in Of Hospitality, absolute hospitality requires that I open up my home and that I give not only to the foreigner provided with a family name, with the social status of being a foreigner, etc., but to the absolute unknown, anonymous other, that I give place to them, that I let them come, that I let them arrive and take place in the place I offer them, without asking of them of their reciprocity, entering into a pact or even their names. In other words, Derrida is proposing unconditional hospitality that does not need to know the name of the other, that does not need to know their language, that does not necessarily need to question their identity, but welcomes them as a human before even knowing all these details. It's radical hospitality. It's unconditional hospitality, which is different from Immanuel Kant, who places a condition. And with that note, I'm saying, as a foreigner, I'm welcoming you to my home. I'm welcoming you into my space. This is my house. And I'm welcoming you without any condition. I don't need to know your name. I don't need to know your mama. I don't need to know your language. In fact, you don't even need to go back to your country, whatever that country is, because the earth is God's country. The Bible says the earth is the Lord's, the fullness therefore, the world and they that dwell in it. And it reminds me of the Good Samaritan, which is an oxymoronic statement, because according to the Jews, the Samaritan cannot be good because he's an outcast. He's a half caste. He's a half-breed. So he cannot be a good Samaritan. But Jesus, with his quest to rattle the ideals of that time, calls him a good Samaritan, because the Levitical order and the priestly order, they ignored the person who was injured. But the good Samaritan took care of that person that was in need of help. And in this moment, in this time where we're seeing the foreigners being oppressed, it's time that we have radical hospitality. And I just say, welcome to my abode. I'll use Shona. Pindai, Wuyai, Mumbamangu. Welcome into my house without limits. God bless you.